Hey guys, this is Trevor Probant. This is the Land Investing Dirt Road to Wealth podcast. I have a awesome guest on today. His name is Clint Turner, and we're gonna chop it up about business, where he's at right now, what he's doing with partnerships with folks, what we're seeing on the big nitty gritty stuff that a lot of people don't talk about, right? Like this isn't just buying desert squares and owner financing. We've moved on past that, and it's fun talking with people like this that have done a bunch of deals, that continue to do a bunch of deals, get their ass handed to them, and come back for more, right? And so we're gonna open up the kimono a little bit and talk about some of the stuff that has gone wrong, that's gone right. Everybody wants to talk about their best deal. I like to sometimes talk about our worst deal and understand like this is not all sunshine and roses and everything else like that, but the value's there. So anyway, Clint, tell us. I already know you fairly well, but tell everybody kind of where you're from, what you're doing, and whatever else you want to do.
Well, what's up? Thanks for having me. I was laughing this morning when you're like, I don't know who this Rachel person is, but you can come on my podcast whenever you want. There's some gal that's just messaging people about podcasts, and they message Trevor. He's like, I don't know who this is, but you can just come on. Like,
I was making sure I wasn't getting ripped off.
No, so thanks for having me, man. Yeah, I started investing in land in 2017. I was doing like 5 other things at the same time, and land was the one that was making me money, actually. So I was still in a sales job, and that was just my goal at the time, was to get out. So I just kind of got obsessed with land, as I do with things, and just dove head first, right? And like you said, I started out with smaller flips, red ocean type stuff, buying and selling stuff way away, pretty unusable type properties. A lot of owner financing, still carry a lot of those notes. I like to joke that I like that business a lot better like 7 years later when I don't do it anymore, but I still have the note income, which is nice. But yeah, I started there, and then I kind of fumbled my way up and up and up into doing different types of deals with more zeros and subdivisions and things of the effect, and taking up bigger tracks and cutting them down. So yeah, we kind of done it all now, and I tell my team, and we can just go wherever we want with this, but my team's mantra right now is like, we just want 4 really good deals every year now, right? We'll do a bunch of other stuff, just kind of by nature, but the goal is we just want 4 really good deals. That's like our kind of mantra and our big picture goal for our land company. And it's, this too. Like that's the goal now, because it's not that fun when you have to hunt every month for a new deal, right? And so when you can kind of stack them in the pipeline, and again, this sounds all good. There's a lot of shit that comes with it, but that's kind of where we've evolved to and what we're working on now.
So when you talk about team, what does that mean to you? Like how many? What does a team mean?
Yeah, so mine's going to be a little bit different, but in general, like, I just think there's a lot of stuff. I get this kind of rap in the land space of like the team guru, or like I don't know why I get it. I think it's because I'm lazy, honestly. I just hire people to like do all the stuff I don't really want to do. I've never thought otherwise. I've just thought that's how you do it. And so over time, and seriously, like since I started, I've been doing that, trying to just like, I don't like writing emails. I don't like all the things, right? All the administrative side stuff. And so kind of been working my way out of those positions over time. But I just find there's a few main spots in the business that you really need to have consistent deal flow, right? And so it's creating lists, sending marketing, talking to owners, putting the front end of deals together. And then there's a little bit of magic that happens to get deals to the finish line. And then the backside's really just project management. And so for my team personally, we have about 5 people spread out across those different roles. For our company as a whole, we have more because we work with a lot of other investors. But that's kind of the general perfect team, I would say, is like 3 to 5 people, some working on finding new deals, some working on closing existing deals. And that's pretty much what ours looks like. And I can dive into as much specific.
Yeah, no, well, we won't get into the nitty gritty on that, but also, and this is something that has been interesting because you mentioned you were in 7 different things, right? But land made you money.
Yeah.
That is a very common thing, right? Because we don't know what clicks for us, right? You have what you just said is actually your superpower, because I suck at that. My superpower is I'll outwork anybody. And that's also my biggest downfall,
Yeah.
right? So talk a little bit more about what the other stuff you're doing, because again, I've had lots of conversations with people that are very, very successful in the land industry, that they did drop shipping, they did supplements, they did they did houses, they did all this other. I started out with, and here's the funny thing about it. Again, my dad, my uncle, my granddad, they bought by the ranch and sold by the pasture, and starting in '91, right? It took me to 2018 to get my ass into that. Because I was like, to hell with that. Rich people own apartment complexes and rich people own commercial building, and I'm smarter than all these guys, right? So what were some of the things that you tried, right? And you're still a younger guy, you know what I mean? And so you're always trying, like, and the nice thing about it that at least I think is everyone that is a go-getter tries multiple stuff. Right? You have to. You got to figure all that out. The one thing I have noticed that's the same with between successful people, again, they tried it all, but they've tried it all and they've been willing to keep trying until they found that thing. So what did you kind of go through, and how did you end up finding out about this little niche of a niche, especially in 17, 16, whatever it was? You know what I mean? Like, how did you find that? Were you Land Academy stuff or Bosch or Land Geek, or go ahead and just kind of tell us that, and it'll help a lot of people be okay with it. You know what I mean?
There's one thing, 'cause I know most of the people who listen to your podcast are real estate investors. Something that took me a long time to understand, because you just mentioned something that's like shiny object to me and many of the people I've seen in land investing for a long time, is apartments and commercial real estate. And you said something of like, yeah, well, all the rich people own apartment complexes, so I should own them. You said it exactly right. All the rich people own apartment complexes. Like, you don't really get rich trying to own apartment complexes, because you do it by the nibble, 1%, 2%, 3% at a time. You don't multiply your cash very quickly. If I would have known that 7 years ago and stopped trying to fucking look at like apartment complexes and stuff, sorry, I hope I can cuss on the show, but
you can do whatever. No one listens. No one listens, Clint. You're all right.
Like, all that stuff takes land as a way to multiply cash, right? Commercial real estate is a way to store cash, unless you're developing it. And so that's something that took me a long time to understand. And land people, I think, way too often are trying to be like, well, I need to diversify and have like all these different assets. I'm like, no, like they serve completely different purposes. Rich people do own commercial real estate. That's correct. It's because they got rich doing something, right? That's the best time to invest in commercial real estate, in my opinion. How I got started, Land Geek. Yeah, I got started in Land Geek. Podcast circuit, something kind of like this. Heard him, jumped in, did the thing. Kind of did it solo for a while. I heard Land Geek, got the course really, really cheap. I don't know. I got it really, really cheap somehow. That was pretty bad. And then I started listening to Seth Williams for a while. And I just started watching YouTube videos and trying it.
Yeah, going down the rabbit hole, right? Whether that's Jeeps or land or baseball cards or whatever, you start going down it and you find all these other little trails.
Yep. And so I just started devouring everything that was free, and Seth Williams put a lot of really great free stuff out. And I didn't have a ton of money, and so I just borrowed a little money from my grandpa, who's always supported my business stuff. And, we spent a little money on marketing. We did a couple of deals. We were making some money. I kept trying to repay him. That was like $8,000 or something. I kept trying to repay him. He's like, no, just keep investing. So I just kept doing more mailers and more deals, and it was just the thing that was working, right? Mm-hmm. And so then when I had made some money, I jumped in, and I've done every course and program, and they all have some value in different ways. But I did all that, and then just it started making me enough money to where it was like significant. So then I started jumping in and trying to figure out how I could turn it from part-time side hustle type deal to actually doing it for a living.
What other things did you try before?
ATMs. I owned some ATMs in Austin. Interesting business. It made sense to me for what I was looking for, but I could never get over the fact that I just feel like ATMs are gonna kind of die eventually. So it's kind of like a dying business model. And then some like real estate wholesaling, flipping, things to the effect. Um, a
Did
lot
you did you
of
ever do did you ever buy any houses or do anything like that?
Yep. Yeah, I did a
Yep.
couple flips. Got my ass handed to me on one of them. And that was when I was starting land actually too.
Uh huh.
And so that wasn't great for me. It's just like because like so many people have made so much money flipping houses. It was just my personal experience and lack of it, if you will.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, there's also like I ran a little iPhone repair shop for like since I was in high school. Did that through high school and college. I'd help people. Side tangent. Like, do you remember when you could go to the phone store and like get a new phone plan and get a free phone, and like
Yeah.
it totally doesn't work like that anymore? Well, there was
Yeah.
this little gap in the market where everyone thought their phones were worth nothing because you could go get a free phone. So you could
Oh.
pick. So I pick all these phones up. I'd fix the screens and I go sell them on Craigslist, and that's how I like paid my way through shit.
Nice. But again, it's the hustle, right? It's the hustle.
Yeah.
It was the angle. It was the hustle. It was you thinking about it,
Yep.
thinking about things differently, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I did a lot of stuff, and then land started generating consistent income, which was something I was like, oh, other than my job, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, there's something here, right? And that just caught my eye, and it's what I focused on for the last however long.
You said that you did sales right before, like with the job. What were you selling?
Software and
Yep.
hardware,
SaaS.
tech stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
it
Yep.
was SaaS with hardware. It was a whole.
Okay. Either way, what did you like the most about that, and what did you dislike the most about that?
That's a good question. So I got this is a absolute like your net worth is your network or whatever that fucking saying is, right?
Yep.
There was a guy in my fraternity in college who had gotten this internship with this company in Austin, and like I was nowhere near smart enough or qualified or frankly even had the right degree to work for this company. But it was like it was a really cool tech company, right? And as a senior in college, like getting a job at a cool tech company was like the fucking dream, right?
Yeah, in Austin, and yeah, oh yeah, like you're like the shit, man. You could talk to all the girls at the bar about what you were doing. Like, yeah.
100%. And so he had the internship and he like referred me in for an interview and then kind of like helped me along the way and I ended up getting hired there. Again, way out of my league. But it was a great first job and they did a lot of recruiting of like just like fresh out of college. So I worked. It was almost like I went from college to like post grad because I worked with a lot of people who were my age in the like beginning level of software sales and support. And so it was a cool job because it gave you a lot of creativity and flexibility and paid well right out of college. Like it was paid pretty well and gave you a lot of opportunity to go up. It was very a job really should be, but it was very like it just gets repetitive, right? And
Yep.
then all the corporate bullshit of like, you know, right? I don't know. I can't even remember honestly. I just remember how much I hated it.
Really.
Just trying to get the next level of job or promotion or like fucking getting yelled at for some bullshit. It's just like there were a lot of managerial downsides to it. But yeah, I worked there for a while and then I quit because I thought I was making enough money in land. And like life started happening again and I was like, oh fuck, like I'm not making enough money. And I like had to buy some properties and they weren't selling fast. And I was like, wait, no, this was supposed to be my, yeah. And so I
Yep.
ended up going just down the street to like one of their competitors, and I got a job with them for about 9 months. And I got to see a whole new side of software sales, which was cool, which was outside sales. And so I was helping them develop a new territory in Austin. And it was pretty cool because it was very small business-esque of like
Yep.
meet people, introduce yourself, give your pitch, why should you work with us type deal. And that's what I've always been good at. And I could do that job, man, with like my VAs that worked for my land business. They would help me with that job with
Shit,
prospecting.
that's awesome.
It was funny, dude. I was probably working like
How did you
10
send
hours a
400
week.
emails yesterday?
Yeah, no, they're just cranking it. They're like they're like setting appointments, generating new business, and I'd be like, Wednesday, Thursdays are the days I want to go run around town. And they would just stack shit Wednesdays, Thursdays. And that's what I just do. I'd go around, set appointments, do sales calls, all stuff like that. And then I would kind
God,
of
why didn't I do that shit? God damn.
I'd work land the rest of the week. So that
So-
was really, I was doing the same shit at the other job too. So I was doing that for like a few years until I really jumped out.
So let's talk about that, right? And a lot of people do that, especially right now, and again, we came out of 3 years of an anomaly, but like, when do you, and you talk to lots of people, you've coached lots of people, things like that. When do you talk to them about being able to jump, making that jump, right? Because that's the question. And it's different for all of us, you know?
It really is. Yeah. So, everybody has their own like risk tolerances, if you will, right? I was at the time single. Not sorry.
You know, I don't edit anything, so I'm just going to let you know
No,
it's
no,
that.
that's perfect. That's amazing. I was not single. I was either engaged or close to being engaged with my now wife for like 5 years at the point. But we didn't have kids. We like had two
Yep.
incomes. It was like pretty. Worst case scenario was that I would just again go get another job, right?
In
But when it came
Austin,
down-
right? That there's
in
tons of
Austin,
jobs. You've got this
yeah,
background. Like, yeah.
exactly,
Yep.
right? Like, so I wasn't really too worried about it, and so I just like threw caution to the wind and just said fuck it and did it, right? That's obviously not the case for somebody who has, 34 and has two kids and a mortgage and health insurance and all this stuff. And so
Yep.
I had a little more of that ability. But how I actually think it through and how I tell somebody specifically is first to figure out your burn, right? How much you spend every month on like something that's not paying you, right? The interest on your freaking mortgage, your car payments, whatever, right? That kind of stuff. And give yourself a runway of that burn. You know what I mean? That's my general thing. And your runway is specific to you, right? If you have a much lower risk tolerance, 12, 18, 24 months, right? If you have less than one, 6, 3, whatever, right?
Yep.
Because I'm confident I can go out and make money, right?
Yep.
And so I just want to give myself a cushion for in case that takes longer than expected or something goes wrong. Because if it doesn't, I just get a job, right? I go get a job and fill the void. So
Yep.
that's kind of how I think about it. Is figure out your burn and really be specific about it, right? I'm not a big like you need to live on like Cheerios and like ramen type situation. Figure out what makes you comfortable in life, right? What's that burn? And then and there's all sorts of ways you can go there, but figure out your burn, have a burn bank, and then the rest of your cash can just go into like working or growing your business with a little side fall. And until you're there, then just work your ass off to get there. Right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, not only the burn rate, but also the belief in what you're doing, right? And the track record enough of, hey, I've done 34 deals, or I've done
Yeah.
2 of these subdivides, or what, you know what I mean? Where your skill set actually matches. I mean, let's just get, call it spade a spade. You got to be good enough to be able to turn that into full-time income.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's much different. The stress levels, all the headaches, everything else like that are much, much different when it's a side hustle. You're like, damn it, that title didn't go through.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Uh-huh.
Versus, oh shit, I need that $8,000 back.
Yeah. Not this money tied up and fucking people bitching about a lawsuit, a specific, right? Like also, like it changes quite a bit.
Absolutely. So that was what I wanted to kind of let people know. Like, listen, man, just because you haven't found your thing, and maybe land is, or maybe land isn't, right? Maybe it's something else. Like, it's okay to keep maybe a certain level of shiny object, right? Mm-hmm. But like I tell everybody, like, whenever you figure something out, whenever you pick something, like, you need 180 days of commitment, at least. Right?
Yeah.
And I would much rather you be like, pick something and do it for a year. The same thing with any kind of like physical training, programming, or whatever it is, right? Like, pick something and commit to it for a year. It's 1 year, right? Time's going to pass anyway. Worst thing that happens is you spend some money and you learn some stuff in marketing.
Yeah.
Right? Best thing that happens is you change your great grandkid's life.
Yep.
That's a year. That's not a bad trade off.
100%.
I mean, because that's like you, Clint. I don't know your background and things like this, but you probably weren't born with a silver spoon, right? You're finding a job. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing about it. But you also now, not that many years in, you can see what you can do, where you can buy those commercial buildings and set up your grandkids, right?
Yeah.
You can be the rich guy that's wealth preservation versus wealth accumulation, right? Like, that's what can happen in 20 or 30 years, maybe 1 year's worth putting all your fucking chips in.
Yeah, 100%. And there's an element of luck too to that, right? Like,
That's
I
true with everything.
I look back and like some of the shit that we did and some of the deals we've done, I'm like, Jesus, like there wasn't anything special I did there, you know? I was like right place, right time.
Yep.
And you can't, right? It's the whole, there's no timing the market, it's time in the market. The more time you spend getting your ass kicked, the more chances you have to get lucky, right?
Yep.
I think of like, so I played semi-professional poker all the way through college, kind of outside for a few years out too.
What was
I
your
was
game?
trying, just Texas Hold'em.
Okay.
But I went to school in Oklahoma, so casinos. And really, like, if you know poker strategy, you're not playing against the house, you're playing against other people. And so it is very easy. Okay, not very, but it's like if you understand the game, you can go sit at a low stakes game, and I can sit there for 8 hours, and I can, over a 200-hour span, guarantee I'll make $50 an hour, right? Just by being smart with how we play.
Yep.
And I just give you that context to say, I think of everything like the casino because I've spent a lot of time there, right? And there's a risk reward associated with it.
Absolutely.
100%. And so a lot of time, like, I love business and I specifically love land because I know the odds at the casino everywhere, right? And with land and marketing in general, to me, it's like a casino, but I generally am going to win every time. Not every time, but a lot more often than I'm going to win in the casino, right?
Yep.
Because I consistently know if I spend 30 grand on marketing, I'm going to find a deal that's going to make me 150 grand. I have that confidence because I've done it for the last 7 years. And it's kind of that machine. It's almost like a casino, right? It's like, it sucks a lot of the time and I lose. Like, a lot of the mailers suck. A lot of the text messages don't work. A lot of the areas deals fall apart, whatever. But generally, over that like consistent long haul, I can spend X amount of dollars and it will generate opportunities that make, Y or Z amounts that are a lot more than X. And so I think about it like the casino and I wake up excited for it because I'm like, you can't win in the casino long term, right?
Yeah.
This is a casino that I can win in long term.
Yep.
And so I just get excited, and that's why I love spending money on marketing and trying different things out to generate deals, because that's just an educated gamble, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, what is an entrepreneur? Like, the original deal is someone who puts assets into a venture expecting more of the assets to come back, right? Like, that's, I mean, a farmer, especially back in the day before insurance and things like that, right? He's an entrepreneur. He's putting seed in the ground.
Oh, yeah.
He's putting seed in the ground, and he's hoping like hell that it rains like it should. You know what I mean? Overall, he should win. Some years it don't go as well, right? And some years it's out of the park. But, like, that's what living is, man. Like, that's what living is, right? Like, it's taking those chances. It's being willing to put your neck out there and take those chances. And I don't care what it is, right? Whether you're Phil Knight selling shoes out of the back of your car, or Jobs running around in the back. You know what I mean? Like, this, no one you ever heard of played it safe.
No.
Right? And the thing is land is a hell of a lot safer than whatever the hell they were doing. Because you only hear about a few of those guys, right? That's
the people who did play it safe, because I do know people who have, right? They've been the attorney for 20 years, and then they've saved up a bundle. I've never met one of them. Seriously, I don't think to this day I've ever met one of them who's like, man, I'm glad I did that. Because I'm young, and they look at me and they're like, fuck, I wish I did what you did, right? Never have I met someone who was like, man, I'm glad I waited till 50 and like grinded it out for 25 years not seeing my kids.
Gave the best of my health and time and all this other stuff and time away from my kids and everything else so I can enjoy the quote unquote golden years, which is a bunch of hog shit.
I don't understand. I'm like, yeah, I could talk about mortality all day, but it's like nobody ever is glad they waited.
But that's what it comes down to, Clint, right? That's the trade-off that you make whenever you're playing this game. Business. You're like, I'm willing to take the risk today in order for a much better year or two versus playing the safe way and hoping that I'm still have enough health and relationships and things like this to really enjoy my last 20 years on this earth.
Yep.
And that's one I'm willing to bet on me every single time.
Not making that bet at the casino.
No.
the likely
So
outcome, but I'm not making that.
yeah, speaking of that, speaking of betting on yourself and things like this, what are you doing now that things are slowing down, right? Coming to more normal with interest rates, doing all this other stuff. What's kind of your mix? What are you starting to do? You starting to do back to some more owner financing? Or are you doing nothing but value add plays? Are you buying real cheap? Here's the thing about it. This is the shit that drives me nuts. Is you hear all this stuff and everyone's like, well, you got to offer 20 cents on the dollar. Seth Williams is one of them, a bunch of these guys, things like that, which is fine. In percentage base, you know this, we've had a long discussion about this beforehand. Percentage base doesn't mean anything. Is your cash, right? That comes back. Because I'll offer 110% of market value if I know that I can force appreciation on the deal and it's an area that I know extremely well, right? Like I'll pay way over market value because I've got a game plan for it, right? What are you kind of doing? And I know you're going to have multiple different ways of going about this and working with your team, kind of like we talked about earlier. But like, what are you seeing right now? What are you projecting the next 24 months for Clint Turner's land business?
I don't know. Let me see. Let me find my book. I'm not a. I wish I knew, man. I fucking wish I knew. Um, I'll tell you what I'm seeing right now in the market and what we're doing is like a couple key changes that we're looking at right now. Let's say from the last couple years to now, right? The last couple years, seriously, it was like whatever I got my hands on, I'd make some money on, if not a lot of money on it.
Yep.
Right. We worked deals out with some of our people who were bad at paying on our owner finance notes to get them out of their properties because they had tripled in value.
Yeah.
And I wanted
Oh,
to,
for sure.
sell them on much higher notes or sell them for cash for that amount. And so the last few years, the buyer's market was crazy. I personally don't think that buyer's market is really going away. There's so much in the news and the press and everything about recession and rates going up and this and that. I think it's just putting people in kind of a pause. But I really don't think when it comes to real estate or assets in general that there's, I don't know, never take some random dude on a fucking podcast advice. But like, I think it's just, we're just in a mental slowdown. I don't think that the economy is really hurting from the data and stuff that I see. And so I'm trying to create a really good product. Like my goal at the end of the day for properties I'm working on is I want to create a really good product. And when you go, like very simple, when you go fucking search for land in that area, I want to have one of the better products at the best price point. Simple. Right?
Amen.
Very, very simple. Just like if you're trying to buy anything, right? I want to have the best product at the best price point or some combination. If it's not the best product, I want it to be an extremely competitive price point. I've always been an owner finance guy. Never really leaned off that, but we are gearing up to go very heavy owner finance for the next couple of years. I'm doing all my projects and raising all the money I'm doing for my deals with the assumption that, let's say, all deals after Q1 of this year going forward are all underwritten and working off the assumption that we sell at 70% of owner finance, right? And the way we can do that is because our properties are generally under 150K, which is kind of that number where the bank is plus or minus to work with them versus us. So I'm looking to create usable properties, right? I don't want junk out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm looking to create them at a good price point, and I want them near a major market. And generally with how we're doing this business, I can structure that deal appropriately. Hey, if it sells 80% cash, flip-flop, doesn't matter. We're still going to do very well on it. But I'm looking heavily at owner financing as the play and then using those notes as a portfolio, right, to kind of liquidate and move assets around. But that's really what we're working on. Again, like I said at the beginning, we're pretty focused on value-add plays now just because for my mental sanity, like when I have 3 or 4 projects lined up, I can see the road a little clearer, right? Yep. I know this project will happen here and, plus or minus delays, whatever. We're going to have these lots for sale here and these lots for sale here. And if we sell them by this date or this date or this date, we'll make X amount, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot more predictable than the grind of flipping. Not to say there's anything wrong with it. And I even think this is a really great market to be flipping in. But to that being said, that's just kind of where our specialty lies. So I'm trying to create a really good product at a good price point. That's what.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And that's the thing about it when it comes to like doing the subdivides and things like this, like I'm not touching anything that I can't double the value on. Right? If I'm buying it for $5,000 an acre, it's going to sell for 10. If I'm buying it for 10, it's going to sell for 20. Right?
Yep.
And I've got to have very good comps for it.
Yes.
And
And that's hard to
so,
find right now.
yeah, like I said, we've got another one that we're going to do here pretty quick that I'm pretty excited about. But yeah, it is. And here's the thing about it, like the sellers still think that it's the heyday,
Yeah.
right? And so there's lots of looking at each other right now.
And the problem with it is, man, that I think is land is not like other assets. Like the majority of parcels do not have debt against them. So
Yep.
there's no driver, right?
Yep.
When you have a loan or
You
you
got
have
$300 in taxes a year on a $3 million property. You're like, whatever, dude.
or it's the other way and it's paying you 15 grand a year or whatever because it's
Yep.
a yielding crop or whatever, or you got leases on it.
Yep.
There's just zero motivation or room to move. So we're in huge seller education mode right now, right? I had a call with a seller the other day. I don't know what got lost in translation. He was talking a couple $1,000s an acre, which made sense for the property we were looking at. And then we got on the phone with him. He's like 10,000. And this was this what people don't understand, and like where a lot of people would get scared and where I won't, is I go, Mr. Seller, I got every piece of data and because if I'm trying to do a subdivide, it doesn't matter if it's market value or not, right? Like I'm generally going in close to market value. I'm like, I've got every piece of data from the last 5 years, even through the height of the highest real estate market in history, and there's not a property that even glances the surface of $10,000 an acre. So tell me why this property is worth this much, right? And really trying to educate and get people to anchor themselves at the right price. It's not going to create a deal right now, but the majority of my deals lately have been coming kind of full circle, right?
For
It's like
sure.
we initiated, we discussed, every couple months we talk about it, and then now here we are 9 months later, I'm driving out to see the property. And
Well,
now we're
that's
talking about
that's what sales is, right? Like you come from that deal. I mean, I bet your CRM at the technology company was pretty damn impressive, right? Like in every follow up and every deal and all this other stuff, right? Like that's where I've done a
what my
terrible
VAs
job.
do.
That's where I've done a terrible job at that, right? And I'm working on doing that, and I've got some cold callers that I'm working now, American cold callers that are doing, and we're just introducing ourselves. That's it.
Yeah.
But we're also doing nothing but big deals too. Talking to big landowners in hot markets, all this other stuff. We're not talking about anything. We're not talking money. We're not talking anything. Who I am, what I can do. This is our track record. We know our shit forwards and backwards,
Yep.
right? So, and I actually had a couple that called me the other day, and they're like, "Hey, we found you on the YouTubes, and you seem like you know what you're doing. We get all these other people that send us offers and everything else. Still not going to do the deal because there's a high tension wire, literally all like catty corner all the way across the property. But I mean, it's in a fantastic area, but not going to do. It just doesn't fit for where I'm at right now, right?
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where we had touched base, and it was like it's not a hard sell. But what I want is 10,000 of those that I touch once a month, right? Like, hey, Trevor's not going away, right?
Precisely. And
Will they sell
gives
to
them
me?
the opportunity too to try and sell it for that price, right?
Yep.
Like I've been building my realtor network out. I've kind of developed a little bit in house. Like I got my dad to get his license, and I know you have that within your family too.
Yep.
And so trying to give people options too. And I'm like, I'll finish a conversation with like, if we're not there, like let's list it. You know.
Yep.
I'll list it there. Like, let me show you that it won't sell.
Well, and then there's ways to joint venture. There's ways to make everything work, right?
Exactly. And so it's just like getting that door open because somebody may have that property that's just low hassle, generates a little bit, or just costs them nothing to hold, had it forever, and they just don't need that $500,000 right now, right? Well, talk to me in a bit, right? When the foundation's coming in and so has health issues and something happened with the soil and they need to change the crop and you're going to have to put some money into the property this year, like stuff will change, right?
The land never changes, right? It's the people's needs and desires and wants and things like that change. That's just the way it is.
Very transactional when you're flipping a $50,000 property. It's just, yeah, you hit me at the right time, let's do it, right? There's rare, like needle in the haystack. I've done like kind of closing up my 10th right now, larger development style subdivide project. And that was the only one that we got under contract within 10 days of touch to touch. And he was straight up. I think he had been nurtured elsewhere, and I don't know who couldn't get in contact with him, so thank you. But he goes, I want 75% of assessed value. And I said, okay, deal. Right? Let's do it. Right? And
Okay,
we
mister,
started off with
sorry, I
deals
don't
and
know.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you winged me into it. 30 minutes north of Austin. I guess I'll take it. But that was the first one. The other 9 had been long tail, long tail, long tail. Right?
Yep.
And so that's what we're doing too, is like, I'm trying to tell people, and this is a tip for, and I'm sure you guys say this too, but these sellers do, especially for the bigger subdivide style, larger acreage properties, like these people get mixed into rookie mailing campaigns, is what I'll call it.
All the
Where
time.
and they
All
get
the
hit
time.
with like $800 an acre, right? And say I'm looking at like a 200 acre, whatever, right? So I'm going from a $106,000 offer to when I come in and I just give them, and like, just think of this contrast. They're thinking all the time someone's offered them between 100 and 200,000. And I know the property's worth 8, and I come in and I say 650, right? What's the first thing that goes up? Oh, this guy's not full of shit, right? Like, he gets it. He's probably still trying to get a deal, but it's not 150.
What did I tell you at the first live event, right? What did I tell you at the very first live event? And everyone was like, "Oh, we're offering this," and I was like, "I'll offer 100%. I'll offer 100% of value." I bought 2 deals, sending out 4,000 offers, and we made over $600,000 on them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, literally
I need to
getting
do
the
it more, to be
word,
honest with you.
getting the word out to them, letting them hear a number or hear full assessed value or hear something that lets them know you're like separating yourself from the 20 cents on the dollar crew, and you're putting yourself in the big boy crew, if you will, right?
Yep.
That to me just opens the door for, well, hey, do you want to come see the ranch, or you want to come out? You want to, right? And then the deals. Well, another tip, I'm sure you know this. The bigger deals happen on the dirt, right? They don't happen like ding 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 dong like over the phone text message, right?
Well, you better not be buying a $2 million place over the phone. You know what I mean?
Now I will say that last deal I just got under contract, it did happen over the phone. Okay.
Well, I'm
But
just
again,
saying you
the
better
one
do a
that-
little. You better do a little site visit before you close that son of a bitch.
Oh God, I just wonder. We got 4 months of due diligence.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
be
no,
out
but
there.
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's certain people that are like, oh, well, you can buy it, do whatever. Listen, if you're especially going to do a subdivide, there's a lot to this as far as roads, as far as accessibility, as far as all this stuff. What looks good on Google Earth doesn't mean it's going to look good when you're standing on that son of a bitch.
Dude, I can't wait to have all this. It'll be a while till this is done, but I'm taking 5 people through doing a subdivide deal right now. I know you guys have done that too in your camp, and I'm like documenting the whole thing as we go. And my big plea and cry to everybody who hears about subdivides is very much go 80-20 on it, because you will not realize profit from a subdivide from inception of thought to money in the bank account. Like 12 months, like 9 to 12 months is a very generous timeline, right?
Yeah, you're closer to 2 years. Again, and again, talking about bigger projects and things like this. You know, again, my dad and uncle and them, they've done nearly 50,000 acres of stuff.
Yeah.
Right, 50,000 acres of stuff, and from the time they buy it to the time they get everything cashed out is average 2 years.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
through the ups, through the downs, through the you know what I mean, since '91.
And we started this thing in January or February and started sending marketing out in February for it. And it's May or whatever, right? And people are like just now starting to like get a little traction, get some deals going, get some contracts out in sellers' hands. Completely different game, right?
Yep.
And so many people want to do what I did, which I highly not recommend, is just stop doing what's making you money and jump into the subdivide because Clint and Trevor are talking about it on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, dog, like you're not going to make money for 18 months. If you're good with that, cool, like come on in, right?
Yep.
But it's like you can't turn off the faucet that's working to get into this game because it takes a long time. And there's like, you could get a deal under contract. I'm sure it's happened to you many times. You get way down the road on it, put some good money into it, and then you're like, shit, I'm not going to do this project for XYZ reason, especially when you're freaking new at it and you don't know all the things. And you get 2 months into your due diligence and you realize that you need a $200,000 water study, actually, even though the guru said you could just cut it into 10 acres for free, right? And so it's like, it's stuff like that. It's a learning game, and it's not a quick moneymaker by any means.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what have you, and kind of like we talked about earlier, what have you come across as far as any of those surprises when it comes to subdivides and not good surprises, right?
I mean, water just kicks my ass a lot. You and I do a little different, and so I'm actually interested in hearing about some of the projects you've done and worked on recently. But I stay a little bit closer to the major markets, and so I'm generally doing within 60 minutes of like a major Texas metro,
Yep.
and so it's smaller acreage, it's
Smaller. Yep. Closer to town, smaller the track.
the
Yep.
ranchette style tract, right? Is what we're going
Yep.
for typically, and so. Not for any reason other than that's like where my first couple of deals were, and it's where I live in the city, so like I can go to the properties and it's easy. And I get the buyer too because I'm the buyer, right?
Yep.
So,
100%. And here's the cool thing about that is when you've got 2 million buyers that live close to it, like
you're gonna get some traction on it.
yeah,
Right?
for sure, absolutely.
And so
We've started. The most recent one that we've done is exactly that, right? Like that we're going to close this next month. It's going to be two are going to be not one's 19, one's 21 acres, and the rest are going to be 10 to 12.
Yep. Yep. Right around there.
But the nice thing about that is at least a lot of them that you see is the forced appreciation on those higher value properties, right? Same thing with a really nice apartment complex. If you've got a game plan to force appreciation and bring that NOI up at a 6 cap, the valuation is way higher than at a 10 cap, right?
Absolutely.
You just got to understand the trade-off that you're getting into when it comes to that. They're going to want better amenities. They're going to need you're going to have to deal with more shit than you got to worry about with a 200-acre tract that they're going to come out there October through December to go deer hunting.
Yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean?
So water sucked for us, to answer your question. Like water keeps kind of kicking our butt, especially when you get closer to the cities. There's just a lot more restrictions going in, a lot more regulation around it, a lot of problems with water and capacity, etc. And so finding properties where water and like that, I think there's going to be a whole sub niche of land of like figuring out how to deal with water issues. But that's killed some deals for us, lost some earnest money or some option fees in there.
Best money you've ever lost.
Best money I've ever lost, 100%. Dude, we had a property under contract for $700,000 and canceled the contract, and as far as like a month ago, it was still in the market, and they dropped it down to $549.
Because of water, they couldn't get the water.
Yeah, because it's either needs to be owned as a 200-acre ranch, pretty much somewhere nobody really wants that, or it needs to be cut into 10-acre tracts, right? But it needs some water infrastructure and blah 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 to make it worth that. So. Water's been kind of a bitch for us. Roads, only run a couple dirt tracks. Looking at my first project right now where we would run a real road. And so that's one that just went under contract actually. So that's kind of newer for us. But we've done like aggregate road, and then we've done some hot press asphalt as well for some driveways and such. And so, nothing's been too bad. Like water has really kind of kicked our butt. There's little things that I thought you could just overlook, like just leaving fences how they were. When it's like you go out to the property and it's like, oh god, that just doesn't fucking make sense. There's a weird fence in the middle of separates these two pastures, but it's like, so now I gotta go out and I gotta take the fences down. I gotta either re-fence it or just take it all out. Other little things is like these properties, especially the ones I'm looking at, and I'm sure even the more ranch style ones that you're at a couple months of the year, like you can't drive up to them and just not fucking understand what the property is, right? Like where the property lines are, and like what I mean very tactically is like, whereas when I started, I was not putting driveways in or gates in or anything like that. Now I'm putting more fencing and driveways and gates and culverts and nice little like amenities. So you drive up to the thing and you're like, oh, I could live here, or I could put a second home here, or whatever.
You've got to, that no one has any kind of, same thing with a house, right? Like if you don't have good curb appeal, and it needs new paint and all this other stuff. No one's got any kind of, especially at these high prices, right? Like people don't want to spend any money and they don't want to have to think, right?
Yes. They don't want to think because they don't get, because like it took you and me, you're kind of from a land family, but it took me.
Yeah, I was about to say I grew up in the middle of nowhere.
It took me this long, right? However many years I've been doing this, just within the last year or two, to really understand what, like the majority of how to accomplish something on a piece of property, right? Think about a buyer who's a first-time landowner or even second or third time, but they just have not really invested the time and knowledge we have. To us, it's like put in a well, right? To them, it's like, oh my God, like what do we do?
Who do I call, right? And that's another thing that I do.
Culvert. Yeah, we put the fucking driveway in and we call the fence guy and then it's done. But to them, it's like 6 months of project and the whole world stops. Right?
Here's a great thing, Clint, and this is something that y'all can use, and anybody else listening is get that contact with a fence, get that contact with a water well, get that contact with a barn door builder, a concrete guy, all this other stuff, and then put that together for those buyers in that area, and do 2 or 3 of them and explain everything, and then all of a sudden, or have your agent do this a lot of times, be like, hey, I don't know what the hell, whatever it is. Obviously, you need to know what the prices are going to be for that well, for that fencing. That's going to cost $450 a foot to mesh, fence everything, clear it out. It's going to cost you $22,000 to drill a water well, right? Like that it's going to average anywhere from 10 to 12 gallons per minute. Like you got to have, or your agent has to know that shit, right? But being able to also have all that contact information there, and make sure that buyer gets that, is huge, because that allows them to feel a little bit better about everything, right?
100%.
Just a little thing like that if people will do that, it will help them out immensely. Even if they're just selling a flip, right? Even if you just got a flip, hey, this is the water well company, this is the whatever, this is whoever, this is one way or other. Because again, a lot of these buyers have never owned anything besides a 10,000 square foot lot in town.
Yep. Dude, I put that together for one of our projects about a year ago. And now every real estate agent in that county uses that exact same handout.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
There's janky versions because mine was PDF, so they've tried to PDF to word it. And you talk to an agent for a complete separate property, they're like, here's all the information. I'm like, this is the packet I put together like a year ago. What are you guys fucking doing?
When you're good, you're good. It's tough to handle sometimes. So, what about what is, we talked about it a little bit beforehand. What are you doing now, right? Like you were the one thing that I've never done very well is, market myself, market my business, do all this other stuff. You have done that and done that very successfully with coaching and bringing people on and partnerships and things like this. Again, I'm going to have to pick your brain some other time about doing a better job of that myself. But what is that doing? And you talk about your pivoting and what you're doing with your business right now.
Yes, so there's a few things there. So when it comes to personal brand, coaching, marketing, etc., when it was, and I think this is very relevant, when it was 2018, 2019, and I was kind of starting to get out of my job and really getting to land full time, it was harder to sell properties than find deals, right? And
100%.
We're starting to see that market cycle come right back. And I just, by nature of talking to people and posting in Facebook groups and stuff, it wasn't that hard. Everyone was bitching about how hard it was to sell properties, and I didn't think it was that hard. And I just had these marketing systems in place that were dumping a shit ton of leads into our funnel and trying to close as many deals as we could. And so I ended up, people were like, show us this, and I do it, and then I taught some classes, and then I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I started doing coaching around 2019, and then I stopped that in 2021 just because the time handoff wasn't really there anymore. It was just, I could spend a whole hour talking about that, but
Yep.
So the time handoff wasn't really there anymore, and we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do with that side of the business. And I've coached a lot of people, and the action takers always are making a bunch of money.
Yep.
And frankly, I just do deals now really in Central Texas, in the Dallas, the Austins, the areas around there. Trying to get in some other markets, but I'm kind of pretty busy with just those. And so we've changed what we're doing on that side now. Is we're kind of using our personal brand and our marketing and our coaching abilities, if you will, to, instead of just hey, pay me some money for a coaching package and I'll give you some advice, right? Mm-hmm. Which there is value in that. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
There's a ton of value there. But I just want to do more deals, right? That's what I want to do. And at the end of the day, there's a limit of amount of land deals I can do alone. There's a few limiting factors. There's cost to find them, time to do them, risk you're taking on. If I have $10 million in active land projects and my net worth is $5 million, right, and the market tumbles, that's going to be a bitch. It's not going to be great, right? So I don't want to be over leveraged in all my projects. We're just in a different market right now. And so I'm looking for ways where I can help people do, whether it's subdivide deals or more flip style deals, wholesale, whatever. That's really how we're focusing what we're doing. People are working with us. We're we've set up a big team of about 20 people, and we're just replicating our marketing system basically, and just taking it into new little pockets of areas we think that are working, and we're sending deals straight to clients, and kind of they get coached, and we work through them with that, right? And so
So
I tell you,
you're marketing in areas that you've got people on the ground, is what you're saying.
yeah, precisely.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And so for me, the reason I've gone down this path is so many of the coaches and people out there are just full of shit, right? Like I joke around. Anybody who started, I don't. A
Come
lot of
on,
people who
Turner.
coach,
Come
a lot
on.
of people who coach these days, I'm like, oh, I coached you a couple years ago. Like I know what's going on there,
Oh,
right?
brother.
And we're
Oh,
talking
you have
big
no
game,
idea.
all these things to set. No, but there's a lot of people that are coming to the space, right? A lot of people coming to the space. And at some point, things just become a race to the bottom, right? And that's kind of where I thought that was going. And for us, like we just want to do more land deals. We're just like real operators. And so, very interesting stat: about half of the big projects I've done so far have come from a referred in lead versus a self-generated lead, right?
Yep.
Versus somebody on Instagram that knows me or Facebook that knows me or I met at a conference. Half of them. That's a lot of fucking deals, right?
Yep.
And so I was like, well, let's just, we have the systems, we have the people in place. Let's just really capitalize on that. So we're kind of building a little business model around helping people do more deals. Like we generate a lead, we hand it off. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it, right? If you don't want to involve me, that's fine. But obviously a lot of the time people want help, and, it generates more opportunities for our business.
Well, and it's
So,
what makes way more sense for them, right?
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
exactly.
dude. Again, it's all well, just like we talked about the casino, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's all risk tolerances, right? And what it means, risk adverse returns, right? Like this one, the deal that we're about to do. Instead of me taking it all on myself, I'm bringing in other people. I'm just getting a much larger override doing it because you know what I mean? We do it all this other way. That's the way I've done it because that allows me to sleep at night.
Yeah. Yes.
And also, I've been this way for forever and continue to be this way. And that's why I share as much as I do and talk about all this stuff and don't, again, we're talking real business here, not like, oh, what was your best deal last year, to Clint? Oh, congratulations. You only sent 12 text messages. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Like, that's bullshit, right? It's
Yeah.
all to sell you something. I'm tired of it. But, like, I could raise $1 billion and not do all the deals I want to do. And I definitely don't have the bandwidth as an individual to run all those damn things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, there's plenty enough for everyone. Right? Anytime anyone starts thinking about there's too much competition in the land business, I want you to drive for 2 hours anywhere, wherever the hell you live.
Yeah.
I just want you to just take a 2 hour drive loop, and I want you to look around, and I want you to see that there's trillions of dollars in equity in dirt everywhere
Yep.
you fucking go, right?
Yep.
And anytime you start worrying about what the Magic County list is, or
Yeah.
there's too many whatever, right? Like, get over yourself. And so the cool thing with what you're doing is you're being like, hey, here not only is the lead, but we've also got the team.
Yeah. 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 We have that's why I don't, I like to operate my own little circle, right? Like kind of do my
Yeah,
own
oh,
thing.
for sure.
And I don't know of anybody else who has all I mean, we have $100,000 a month payroll, so it's not like we have like nobody working for us, right? We have a whole fucking team of account managers and lead specialists.
Can I apply for a
trying to
job?
generate deals. What's that?
Can I apply for a job? What,
Yeah, I'll send it over.
I got a resume. It's like 5 years old, but I bet I can get it for you.
But
So,
look, listen, I've done the land business just about every way you can do it. And I feel like I can confidently say that I understand the unit economics of land, of what one person can do very, very well, right?
Yep.
I would venture to bet a large amount of money that the single unit land business without a huge team, because keep in mind, once you go past a small team, then we're just talking about you need to build corporate structures, you're building business. Margins go way down. As a small, lean, mean team, you're going to do, like, you can make $3 to $5 million a year in a great year, right?
that's a
And
that's a really good year. I mean,
yeah,
that's yeah.
that's you crushed 4 to 6 really good projects, right?
Yep.
And that's really where it's going to cap. And you can get there in different ways. It can be through a lot of $20 to $50,000 deals or 3 to 6 big deals. But really, man, once you get to that level, you start moving into really needing to understand how to run real business, corporate business, right? How to have managers and leaders and training and all the things. You don't have to do that at a small single unit business. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing is I've maxed my unit out, right? I could, like, people are like, well, why didn't you just go do what you're doing and like ramp out of it? Because I'm like, because I need like 100 I need project managers and marketing specialists, and it's all on my dime and my time, right? And it's very, very challenging to do that versus if you do it with other people who can supplement the cost of it, get benefit from it, we can all grow, right? Like one cool thing is as a single investor, you really don't have a budget that's big enough for TV, radio, and pay-per-click, right? What can you do when you have 50 investors who are all paying for marketing at one time? Well, you can have your normal marketing, and you can have TV, radio, and pay-per-click in really hot markets, right? Yep. So there's a lot of things we can do, and that's just kind of where I saw. I was like, hey, my single unit land business, it's pretty maxed unless I want to build more of a consulting, development, hedge fund type business, which I did not really want to do, right?
Yep.
What I've always loved is partnering and doing deals with people like yourself and the Slevas and Adams and all the people in the world. I have one wholesaler who's made like $200,000 on me in the last year just because he keeps bringing me deals, right?
Yeah.
And so I love doing deals with people, and that's just kind of where we're operating right now. And so that's kind of the majority of what we're doing on that side.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of where I'm at right now is, and you talk to these wholesale. I went to the Wholesaling Inc. deal in Arizona the other day, and you talk to all these people, not the people standing on the fucking deal, right? But like the actual people you're talking to. And they're at like 40, 45% margins. And that's running lean.
Yeah. That's
running really lean and tight and knowing your shit. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, gross. Yeah. But see, that's where I don't want to build that. My story in me, and this is something that we've talked about, like the whole like the master class, working with Adam and Justin, the fund that we got all this stuff in with the SEC, all this other stuff. Like that's been my long-term plan for the last 5 years. But I had to walk to get there, right? You don't just go there because you don't have the track record, you don't have the network, you don't have any of this stuff, right? And so what I want to do, obviously still building relationships, still doing that. I still love the actual work. Like the other day, I left the house at 4:30 in the morning, drove 4 hours to look at a project. Yeah. Come out, whatever. It was a great day. I loved it. I met with the appraiser, I met with the power guy, I met with the road guy. All within an hour and a half. Is the best day I've ever had as far as efficiency.
Day, yeah.
Oh my God, it was insane. You're just like, oh, thank God, finally one of them, right? Anyway, but like me, I know now for me what it takes is the capital stack, right? You are a deal flow motherfucker, right? Like everything about deal flows and how to get them and all this other stuff. I want to work on the capital stack, right? And that's finding everyday investors, but more importantly, that's finding big money investors.
Yeah.
Right? Family offices, things like this. Because that's the way in what I like doing, I like talking to rich people that are smart, talking about detailed stuff that I'm a subject matter expert in. Mm-hmm. That's what I enjoy doing. Right? I do not like managing VAs. I don't like going through 8,000 leads. I don't like that.
Me either.
And my days on earth are not going to be spent with that. They're going to be spent talking to rich people, bringing more value to you, because I want Clint to call me or one of Clint's guys to call me. We're like, yeah, we'll do it. We want 50%. Everything else, however the hell y'all want to do it. That's where I want to be. And that's also the one thing that seems like no one else is working on right now. Right, is in the level that I think that we can be, right?
100%. I mean, you could do I've thought about this for a long time. I don't know. What are you guys working on? I don't actually know.
We've just got all of our stuff done. We're going to have our first. Was it a Reg D? 506 Reg D, Reg B. Excuse me. It's a real estate fund. We've gotten everything in with the SEC, and so now it's raising capital time.
Got it. Are you trying to do more of a preferred return type deal?
Preferred return with waterfall.
Okay, got it. You're trying to
And
create like
we're gonna give away too much to the first fund, just to prove yourself, right? Like
Mhm.
that's okay.
Yeah,
But it's still a hell of a lot cheaper than what I've been giving away.
yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, that's I talk about this with, and I also don't like all the things you said.
But you're
That's why
better
I
at
have
it than
a
I am.
that's why I have a COO who is really really good at that stuff. No, and that's like one of the things, right? Is like I had to tell one of my clients this one time. We worked on 6 months on trying to build an efficient team, and I eventually had to tell him, I was like, brother, you were not built to build a team. Okay, you need to hire somebody to build the team, right? If you really want the team, like it's clear that it's not you. You're not the guy, right? It's somebody else. For me, like I know the systems, I know the process, I know what needs to be done. I'm the 1 to 2 guy. I'm not the 3 to 10 guy, is what I like to say. And
Yep.
so that's where I've had to build my guardrails is have a COO in place, have lead managers in place, have people that frankly are better than me at the thing they're doing, right? And that's why I can do stuff like you're talking about, go visit projects and talk to folks. And so it's not all hope is not lost for you, is what I'm telling you. But no, but with my COO though, we talk about this a lot. Is that land is a fragmented market, right?
A
You
hundred
can
percent.
go on your phone you can go on your phone and do two things. You can invest in an apartment syndication or you can get a loan for a house, okay? You can't do either of those from your phone for a piece of land, all right? And so the capital stack is a great place to work. I think it's kind of the next battleground, if you will.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it,
I'm going to be carrying the banner, right?
right?
Like that's and that's the reason why. It's because you can't have a Blackstone or BlackRock come in and drop $14 billion on it, right?
Yeah.
Because of that land fragmentation, right?
Yes. No, I mean 100%. It's a great market to work in. The biggest challenge is the educational side on the investor getting them in, right? But
Hundred
it
percent.
depends on if you're trying to raise 10 million or 100 million. That will change, right? I
Absolutely.
think it's a great place to work. And just from my context, I'll tell you, I've been working with two family offices for years. Okay, and pre-COVID and during COVID, obviously, I never thought I would ever have to worry about cash for a deal, ever. Because every time I'd bring an opportunity, it was like, you can make us 50%, and like, I would say like 3 months, but they'd be like, if you can do it in 18, that's great, you know?
Yeah.
And so I've had very, very good foundations there. Whereas those same offices, as we kind of come into this new market, are not approaching things the same way, right? It's not like auto fundage, right? For every deal, it's got to be the great deals. It's still there, but
So what are they saying? It's just because the world is shaky right now.
a lot more nitpicky, right? A lot more nitpicky. What kind of projects they want, what kind of terms they want, how they want. Because like rarely ever does a land project cash flow when you put money into it, right?
For
At
sure.
least when you buy at least when you buy an apartment complex, it's cash flowing on day one, right?
Yep.
Not with land. And so a lot of people want cash flow now, and I can't structure a land deal with cash flow on day one. Maybe on day
Yep.
180, but not day one, right? And so it's getting projects that make enough sense to not have cash flow or tax benefits for people to want to
Yep. Because those
invest.
are the two things, right? No depreciation. It doesn't cash flow worth of shit.
And so you got to beat them with returns or project quality, right? Or there is a tax play in there if you can find family offices or owners who are coming out of commercial units and want a 1031 into a piece of land. We've had some buyers do that, but yeah, it's not as easy as it was. I'll say to get cash, right? And so I think the capital stack's a great place to play. I think the big challenge is the education piece, right? Getting people
Absolutely.
to, right? Because I have all my burn. So we talked at the very beginning of this episode about burn and how you know when to leave your job. I know what my burn is, right? I have a 12-month burn kind of window at all times, and when I waterfall over that, all my cash, because I'm just very, very confident in the land asset. I wouldn't recommend this for everybody, but 80% of my cash goes into land notes, buying existing land notes or putting new land notes together, because I'm making like ridiculous returns. I'm making
Yeah.
40, 30, 40, 50% on the cash that's sitting, right? And
Yep.
so for me, like I am I am extremely confident that the model works, right?
Well, and you're
Because
also investing in very good areas too, right? Like again, That's the key, right? Especially if you're looking at these projects and you're within the Golden Triangle or the Hill Country of Texas or things like this, right? You're not
Yeah.
up in Pershing, Nevada.
Yes, 100%. Right, 100%. Now, don't get me wrong. I will buy a set of those notes for like 20 cents on the dollar, but
Oh yeah, no, no. I'm
I'm
just saying
buying
like
it
your
for
bigger projects, right? Like with those stuff that you're going to
100%.
go find family office money on, right? Like
Yeah,
it's got to be a
100%.
higher quality shit, or it's just
Right.
such a good deal that it's a no brainer.
Yeah, just a great location or whatever it is. So, yeah, there's a lot of things there, but that's what like I am very confident in that fund model, and I've contemplated spinning something up at some point, but I'm just too busy, and I like to golf too much, so I don't want to do anything else right now. So I will just come to you guys, and you guys go get the money, and we'll do some deals together. And honestly,
Oh,
that's like
dude.
where I'm at right now. Like I started doing these projects. My first couple, I made just in round numbers, maybe like 30 or 40% of the pot. Right, the first one maybe like 25%, and the second, third, and fourth, 30 to 40%. And I'm to the point now where I can structure it where I'm getting 50, 60%, right? But
No.
unless I want to go, I don't really see much opportunity right now, unless, I mean, you know, needle in the haystack, but unless you're doing it with your own cash, 100%, or you have really, really educated investors, that's where I'm about pushing right now, is being in that like 50, 60% bucket, right?
Yep.
Because there is so much education and work that goes on the side of raising the cash and having people invested. Like we just closed a project. We had 1.5 million underwritten as the total cost. The land was 1.1. Okay, and we had been running Facebook ads for a long time. One of the family offices I run, they'd taken hundreds of calls over the last 60 days on investors and some potential investors that had already worked with them in the past on other deals, and we had it like subscribed all the way up to the number, right? Well, 2 weeks before when the accounts open to start depositing money, well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this thing? Well, maybe I only want to invest 50 grand. I don't want your fucking 50 grand. Get that out of here, right? And so it was a lot more challenging. We had oversubscribed, and by the time we had to decide on how we were going to get to closing, we only had 850 in the account, right? And so, I mean, we just came up with the cash together between me and the partners to close the deal out. But I just say that I just give that example of like we did that was the challenge we hit with raising cash right now, and like where the issue is. The bank brought a lot of it, but well, actually for that deal we brought all the cash. We didn't even use the bank. So, but it is challenging, right? We had over $2 million people who said they were going to invest in the project at very generous returns. And only 800K had actually come in the 2 weeks that the accounts were open. And
Yeah.
so, people talk a game and want to be involved, and it really what differentiates is track record and education, right? Because the people that did invest, like half of them they just invested with that group before, and they were confident that they would do what they said they were going to do, right?
Yep.
And the other half were already educated and had done land stuff before. The rest of them were like, wait, but I invested in this syndication last year, and it gave me this and this, so how's that work? No, no, no. Different, right? Way higher returns, not the same thing. And so I think the capital stack is a great place, and where there really is nobody playing, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's
Because
and that's again that's where I know that I can. Then if I become the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to the cash deal, right? Like I know that Clint's going to come to me. I know that you know what I mean, and go from there. And is it going to be a hard road to hoe? Absolutely, but it's going to be freaking worth it, right?
absolutely.
It's going to be worth it,
Let
and
me give you the devil's
that's where
advocate.
that's where eating the shit sandwich, right? The more bread you have, the less shit you have to eat,
Yeah.
right? Like
Let me give
that's
you the devil's advocate that I play in my mind all the time, and we can wrap
yep.
this whenever you need. Is so you've done some deals. We've been in this thing for a while. You got a couple $1,000,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
My argument in my head is, okay, well, I just take that cash and invest it into deals and notes and things of that effect, and I'm generating an average of just call it 30% return. Okay. Well, my money's making me like 600 grand a year now, right? That's a lot. And so currently that's the path I'm on, is I'm taking my cash and investing it. That's where I split the fork in the road. So why go down the fund road versus just take your cash and multiply it and kind of create that generational wealth?
Mm-hmm. Because I fucking love what I do.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I fucking love what I do. And I've also, and this is because, and this whole thing came from the scar tissue that I had. I was set on the back of a 1980s GMC flatbed pickup with my brother crying in our Coors Lights when the north side of our place sold that I grew up with because my great aunt offered it to my dad and uncle. Of course, I was in high school or whatever it was, or anyway, maybe college, first part of college. Anyway, and it doesn't make sense, right? That's where people don't understand the uncoupling of prices for land based on agriculture happened a long time ago. You can't make a quote unquote living at the prices that we have now, even with free dirt, just about anywhere based on animal husbandry. Right? Because of that, the demand for recreational properties will continue to skyrocket, especially in this state, especially in this entire region, right? The thing is all those counties don't want us to do that right now. You still got the old guard. They understand that they're sitting on $3 million worth of cash in dirt, and they don't make any money unless they got solar, wind, or mineral rights, right? So there are millions and millions and millions of baby boomers who are retiring and dying right now that are dirt rich and cash poor, right? My North Star for my entire life when it comes to business is to let them know, every landowner in the United States know that I'm here to help them, whatever that may be. Whether that's buying it, whether that is joint venturing, making sure they can make more money on the deal, whatever that is, whether that's selling it, listing it, whatever that is, I'm here to help them because I've seen those conversations at night at the dinner table. It's not fucking fun. That's where I come from. And so because of that, it doesn't make how much money I have in the fucking bank. I'm not here to golf. I don't give a shit. Right? Like that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help as many landowners do whatever they do. And that's my North Star. That's my one way to do that. And so the fund itself is nothing but a way to bring more capital into a market that does not have the capital.
It's a vehicle to just make more impact in it.
That and you can call bullshit or not, but if you don't believe me, like that's 100% what I'm here for.
You know what's funny is, out of ignorance, I could have said that a while ago. After the last couple of years of driving out around where you live to shake hands with landowners, I 100% can see exactly what you feel. I didn't grow up and feel that because I lived on a 10,000 square foot lot my whole life.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But like being out there on the dirt, talking to these folks who are sitting on $1 million of dirt, but 15 grand to test for water is out of the question, right? It's like, well, you got to. So I see it, right? I feel it. I've had old, I'm a younger guy. I walk up to somebody and I'm like, oh, literally the last time I went out a couple weeks ago, one old man was like, well, I was expecting a much older man. I was like, well, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Did you twirl your mustache at him and be like, hey, hey.
I like bring my dad with me sometimes, just so he has no fucking clue what's going on. I'll just bring my dad with me because he gives a little credibility to it, even though I'm the one.
No, 1,000,000%, dude. 1,000,000%, and that's where I also want to take that capital, and be able to provide that whether that's the consulting or whatever the fuck that is, right? Like, hey, you need a water study.
Yeah.
Let me do it, right? Let's do this together. Let's partner on this thing. You're going to make more money.
And that's where you get deals too, right?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, you don't know if there's water there. I'll come find out, okay? I will come find out if there's water there. You don't have to worry about that, Bill. That's a great way to get a property close. It's going to take a little cash out of your pocket, right?
Yeah.
50-50 chance on what you get out of it, right? But
you're walking into the casino, right? You're walking into the casino.
Not 14 grand. It's like, are we gonna get 2 good wells or no? We'll find out, right? No,
but that's me.
Yeah.
Right. Most people like land because it is a cash cow. And you don't have to worry about houses.
Aren't from the land though, right?
Yeah,
myself included, aren't from the land, and so you don't get that real perspective when at the end of the day, that perspective, in my opinion, is very much the one that matters the most because it is the target person we're looking for, right? And so many people disconnect. Land is, I mean, me too. For the first 3 years, I didn't step foot on a single property, right?
That's the
Didn't move.
sexy part, right?
That's the
You can be
sexy
you
part.
can be the beach in Cabo and do land deals. Yeah,
Do, right? Whatever.
yeah,
My favorite part now is stepping on the properties, right? That's my
hundred
absolute
percent.
favorite part. I'm about to buy a trailer and a 4-seat fucking gator to just tow, tow around with me and just like I'm ready to go on more 2 or 3 day land adventures, just looking at ranches, taking the gator.
Welcome to the life, my friend.
I know, dude. It's
No, dude, you're gonna
crazy.
have yourself a big old chunk of dirt before you know it, and Clint's gonna be sending me text messages with dead deer pictures and all kinds of fun stuff. It's gonna be awesome. So, anyway, well, hey, man, I think I've had you long enough. We'll stop here. How does everybody get a hold of you? How does everybody get know about your partnership stuff? Let them know anything, everything, how to get a hold of you and learn more about you, buddy.
100%. So that's the only thing we really do these days is we work with folks. It's through a paid structure. It's not free, of course, as all things. And the other thing I can offer people is help recruiting or finding some of those VAs or talent. If you want to work with us in any way, you can just go to learn.land, www.learn.land. A big ass questionnaire will pop up and you fill it out. And if you're a good fit for a call, it'll walk you through and book you for a call. Otherwise, I have my full course for free on YouTube. No charge. Get it. And you can go into the download section too and get the full deal. You can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever the hell. I think we might be on TikTok. I'm not 100% sure. But
Are you
yeah, man.
dancing? Are you doing the land dance
I'm
on
not doing the
location?
land dance. I'm not doing the land dance, but I do think we have some pretty decent content rolling around. I'm learning how to do that for the last while, but yeah, you can follow me there, keep up with what we're doing. And if you want to do deals in new markets with me, then yeah, go fill that form out. And got to be able to spend about 30 to 40 grand a year in marketing. If you can't spend that, then we're just not the best fit. Take all my free stuff. Enjoy it. I hope you love it.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it, and this one will be fun. And like I said, if there's any questions you have or whatever, reach out to either Clint and I, and we'll help you out. So, thank you.